Have you seen Horror Night Nightmares' new speculation map for HHN 2023? Trust me, you won't believe what they have in store for this year's event. In today's video, I'll discuss the just released Horror Night Nightmares speculation map for HHN Hollywood. Let's get into it right now. Dr. Strengoit here with some very early speculation about HHN 2023 in Hollywood. Let's get into it right now with the first speculated house for HHN 2023, which is Horrors of Blumhouse, featuring Megan and Insidious. This is also rumored to be a shared house with HHN in Orlando. Horrors of Blumhouse has already been at HHN in Hollywood and Orlando multiple times, and the Blumhouse house last year, featuring Freaky and the Black Phone, was very successful. Universal and Blumhouse obviously have had a productive relationship in the past, and I don't see any reason this won't continue into this year. It is no surprise that Megan showed up on the speculation map to appear within the Horrors of Blumhouse house this year. In an AMA on Reddit, the official Megan account said, and I quote, "But speaking of theme parks, I can't wait to go to HHN this year." Given how popular the Megan movie was, and how Blumhouse successfully incorporated the horror comedy Freaky into the house last year, it makes perfect sense that Megan will be in the Horrors of Blumhouse this year. We also know that Universal loves Insidious, with it being represented multiple times in both Hollywood and Orlando. With the 5th installment of the Insidious franchise being released in theaters in July 2023, now is a perfect opportunity to bring the Insidious franchise back to HHN. As I mentioned, the Horrors of Blumhouse house last year featuring Freaky and the Black Phone was very successful. Well, Megan and Insidious perfectly fit the same role as Freaky and the Black Phone. Personally, I cannot wait for Insidious to return to HHN. The second speculated house for HHN 2023 is a house based on The Last of Us TV series. This is also rumored to be a shared house with HHN in Orlando. The Last of Us is extremely popular right now, with an amazing series being currently released. Add to this the fact that the fans of the video game have wanted it to appear at HHN for quite a while. And top it all off with some amazing creature designs. What this means is, it really is a perfect storm for The Last of Us to be at HHN this year. And on a personal note, if it is announced to be coming to HHN, my nerdy science brain can't wait to do a video talking about cordyceps. The third speculated house for HHN 2023 is a Universal Monsters house. We have had a Universal Monsters house at HHN in Hollywood and Orlando many times, and they have been very successful houses and fan favorites. Add to this the fact that the Universal Monsters are obviously owned and beloved by Universal. It's almost a no-brainer that the Universal Monsters should return this year. On the Horror Night Nightmares speculation map for Hollywood, it is listed as Universal Monsters Paris, while their speculation map for Orlando is listed as Phantom Dracula. Universal Monsters Paris leads one to suspect the Phantom of the Opera or the Hunchback of Notre Dame, or in what could be an amazing mashup, both the Phantom and the Hunchback together. Personally, I'm really hoping for the mashup of the Phantom and the Hunchback together. Either way, I think we'll be seeing the Phantom of the Opera as the focus of the Universal Monsters house at HHN in 2023. Personally, I feel like it's his time to shine at Halloween Horror Nights. The fourth speculated house for HHN 2023 is an original house related to Japanese creatures. This is an interesting house because it is an original property, but it is rumored to be shared with a house at HHN in Orlando. I have no idea exactly what this will be. However, if it is based on Japanese folklore, and they give it the same treatment and respect as they did the Fiesta de Chupacabra house last year in Orlando, then it should be amazing. The fifth speculated house for HHN 2023 is Nightingales Blood Prey. This was an original house at HHN 2011 in Orlando. The Nightingales are creatures that have existed since time began, feeding on the weak, ill, and dying in wars and natural disasters. Within every war, the Nightingales have appeared, able to transform themselves to fit any setting. These savage banshees feed on the weak and helpless. Patrolling World War I era trenches, you discover you're more than just at war. You're being hunted by savage, shape-shifting banshees. These creatures, called Nightingales, will feed on sick and dying soldiers in the war. The Nightingales have the ability to shapeshift, and they would disguise themselves as field nurses. In 2015, the house received a tribute scene in the Jack Presents 25 Years of Monsters and Mayhem house in Orlando, 4 years later, in 2019, the house received a prequel based on Roman gladiators titled Nightingales' Blood Pit. Nightingales' Blood Prey was an outstanding house in 2011 and a fan favorite. I cannot express how happy I am that Hollywood is bringing Nightingales' Blood Prey, which personally I much prefer to the version seen in Nightingales' Blood Pit. Alright, we're only halfway through the speculation list, and we still haven't revealed what may be the biggest IP to come this year, even bigger than The Last of Us. But first, let me invite you to subscribe. If you like staying up to date with everything that's going on with HHN, please consider subscribing with the notification bell on. That way you won't miss out on any of these episodes. The sixth speculated house for HHN 2023 is The Exorcist, with this being the 50th anniversary of the original movie, and a sequel to the 1973 film also being released this year. Added to the fact that the sequel is a Blumhouse production and distributed by Universal Pictures, it would not be surprising if The Exorcist came to HHN in 2023. However, which version of The Exorcist would come to HHN this year? Given that HHN doesn't often pay attention to anniversary years, and the fact that the original Exorcist was represented at HHN in Hollywood in both 2016 and just 2 years ago in 2021, I don't know how likely it is that the original Exorcist will be represented this year. However, given the fact that the new film will not be released until October 13th, 2023, when HHN is almost at the end of its run for the year, I think that unfortunately it's not real likely that the new Exorcist will be at HHN in 2023. What do you think? Which version of The Exorcist should be at HHN if it does come this year? The seventh speculated house for HHN 2023 is represented by a clown icon. We don't know if this is an original house or an IP house. There are so many possibilities of what this could be. However, I will give one strong contender for an original and one strong contender for an IP. One possibility for an original is a Hollywood Harry house. Hollywood Harry has been featured in the Tram in 2016, 2018, and 2022. Perhaps it's time he got his own house this year. One possibility for an IP is Killer Clowns from Outer Space house. The Killer Clowns from Outer Space had a house at HHN in Hollywood in 2019 and in 2022. Typically, I would say it's too soon for another Killer Clowns from Outer Space house. However, combine the fact that people love the Killer Clowns from Outer Space with the fact that there will be a Killer Clowns from Outer Space video game released this year. It is not beyond the realm of possibility that there could be another Killer Clowns from Outer Space house at HHN Hollywood this year. The eighth speculated house for HHN 2023 is Chucky. However, this is the one house that is not speculation that we know for a fact will be coming to HHN this year in both Hollywood and Orlando. It will be a Chucky house based on the new TV series. People love Chucky, and with the way Chucky keeps showing up at HHN in both Hollywood and Orlando, be it in scare zones, in a photo op, in the merchandise, in the 80s Throwback Thursdays DJ dance party, or even as a specialty burger, it's obvious that HHN loves Chucky too. The ninth speculated house for HHN 2023 is represented by a guitar and cymbal. This is also rumored to be a shared house with HHN in Orlando. On the Orlando map, it is not listed as original, so it has to be an IP. There is a rumor by Legacy that there is one IP that could be at this year's event that is bigger than The Last of Us. Given that this guitar and cymbal is on the spec map for both Hollywood and Orlando, and it's an IP, one must assume that this is the IP that could be bigger than The Last of Us. But what could be bigger than The Last of Us? The guitar could be implying a music-based house. The cymbal could represent lightning or a power symbol. Ride the Lightning Metallica or AC/DC would fit. Or, for a real surprise, it could represent Metallica and be an indirect hint for Season 4 of Stranger Things. I'm trying not to get my hopes up too much for either a Metallica or Stranger Things Season 4 house, as I would love either of those. Before we continue with the speculation map, while we are talking about this guitar house, are you excited for what this may be? What do you think it could be? Do you think it is Stranger Things returning? Do you think it is a musical artist? And if so, which one do you hope it will be? Let me know in the comments down below. Last on the speculation map, we have Tram celebrities. The Tram is a staple of HHN in Hollywood, and whatever this celebrities version could be, I'm sure it will be amazing. Speaking of HHN, do you have your fits planned for this year? Have you considered making your own HHN battle jacket? If so, please consider checking out this video.